Howdy, howdy, howdy. How are y'all all doing? Welcome to Cliff Notes Live Monday night. Kind of a chilly Monday night. We finally got a little fall down here. It's probably snowing in some of y'all's areas. So winter time for some of y'all. Not yet in Houston. Hope y'all are doing fantastic. Let me start off with a big old SKD 143. I love my wife. I love my kids. I love reality TV. I love Big Brother, and I love my Texas Aggies as well. Man, fun watching college football, but also a lot of reality shows to watch. We'll talk about all of it this evening. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to my channel, turning on notifications, and maybe hitting the old thumbs up as well is always appreciated. I hope y'all are doing well tonight, guys. Let's start off. Let me just check real quick. Now, I just logged on, trying to get this computer set and everything. Sharon said, yeah, a lot of people out here talking. So I know y'all are out here having y'all's conversations, but let me see if I can go real quick and say howdy to a few folks. Ma is out here. Ma, how are you doing, my friend? Carol Mosier as well. Let's see. Marilyn Sutherland, Big Jake 88, Gail Warnings, Karen Loveland. Let's see. Y'all are having quite the conversation. Let's see who we've got on here as well. Patricia Miller, Kennedy Franklin. Hi, Cliff. It's my birthday week. I turned 21 on Saturday. Congratulations, Kennedy. Have fun, but stay safe. 21's an important birthday, so congratulations on that. Yeah, you said also my Nana passed away on Wednesday. I am sorry about that. I truly am. I know how hard that is. I've had a little loss as well this year, and I'm sorry, Kennedy. But as long as you got the memories, they aren't truly gone. I do believe that. I hold on to those memories, and I'm sorry about that. But also, congratulations on turning 21, my friend. All right, let's see who else we've got out here. We're going to go through these quick because we got a few things to talk about this evening. Paula Louv 4 is out here. Let's see. Michelle Moore. Let's see. I talked about you. Ed Lock-In is out here. I'll tell you what, we're going to. Y'all out here. All right. Kent 427, Amanda Limnop, Lee Strack, Blues Oogie as well. These login names. I missed the old names. Michelle Moore and Marilyn Gendis, 9293. And sorry if I missed a few of y'all, scooting through really quick. And my mouse wasn't working, so I'm just having to use the thumb pad and all that kind of stuff. And these old big fingers kind of move all around for it. All right. Welcome to all of y'all. So much going on. Survivor, The Amazing Race, Big Brother Australia. For those of you who don't know, Big Brother Australia started yesterday. Karen Loveland saying, why does it say Australia? Why does it say Australia, mate? I can't do an Australian accent. There's no way. I put that up there because we do not have Big Brother Canada coming up, which is unfortunate. I hope they bring it back, but we don't have Big Brother Canada. We don't have Big Brother Reindeer Games, Celebrity Big Brother, but we do have Australian Big Brother, and it started last night. Now, I say started last night. It comes on at like 3 o'clock in the morning, my time over here, because that's their nighttime and all that earlier. But Big Brother Australia started up. This is the first Big Brother Australia they've had since 2023. After I got out of the house, my season, they had COVID and all that stuff. Well, then they did a season of Big Brother. I watched it. I actually ended up talking to some of the people who were on the show that season. One guy named Kieran, talked to him quite a few times. A few others as well, but Daniel George, a few others. Anyway, they had that season, but then it went away for a little while. It's back again. It's back in the original location where they filmed the first 10 seasons or so. I think this season 16 or something like that. Anyway, or 12 maybe, where they filmed the first few seasons in a theme park, which is kind of cool. We'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, Big Brother Australia. Now, do you know it is on 6 nights a week. Every night except Saturday, you get an episode of Big Brother Australia. Live evictions take place on Sunday nights. You actually do have live feeds as well to watch. So there you go. I'm glad to see that. And so, yeah, a lot of content over in Australia. Definitely keep you busy over there. Not always so easy to figure out how to watch it. I know if you've got a VPN, some VPNs will let you go out there. It's on Channel 10. You can go to 10.com.au and you may or may not be able to access it depending on if you've got a VPN or not and how good it is. But I think you can find clips on YouTube, and if you've got ways around it, and there's people that do, then there may be other ways you can do it also. But I was going to tell y'all this also. For those of you who are into TikTok, and I haven't really done it yet, y'all are going to have to help me figure out what TikTok dance I need to start off my TikTok career with. But for those of you who have TikTok, you can go out to Big Brother Australia, find it, and they've got free live feeds through TikTok for the next couple of days. And then they want you to pay if you live inside the country and all that. But anyway, for at least another 24, 48 hours, you can actually watch live feeds so you can see what the house looks like and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's kind of cool just to see how they do it. All right, Blue Sugi is saying Cliff and Jane from Big Brother Australia need to need to be besties. Oh, she's a hoot. I thought you said she's hot. Then I said, oh, thank you. Now, Sharon may not have anything. What is to be besties? She's a hoot. Yes, I actually do. There's a lot of these Aussies that would be fun to hang around with. I think they've got a fairly eclectic bunch this year. They only have 12 house guests as opposed to us having 16 or 17 once Rachel came in this season. They only have 12. They've got two additional people that were battling out, and the public was going to vote to send one more person in the house. So they're basically starting with 13 people, whereas we start with 17. So not quite as many people. The house looks pretty cool. I will say that. The people they've got on there, a mix, just like you have over here. You've got an older mother. You've got some guys that look like they ought to. I don't know, one's an MMA fighter. One of them is a barber. A couple of the girls that are there, I'm sure they're thinking they're going to get all kinds of relationships, showmances, and things like that. There's one guy this season who's very interesting. He came on and he's very upfront in telling everyone that he's got Tourette's syndrome. And I've always heard about that, but I've never really seen how that comes into play day to day. But he said, yeah, I've got it. He said, so when I'm acting goofy or saying things, just off the cuff, it's just because of that. And he'll say, just because if I do something like that, boop, 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 and then he'll keep on going. It's just kind of a unique thing to watch. And he's there to gain better acceptance. And he seems like a nice guy and all of that. So we'll see how it goes. I asked him if he would lie. He said, I can't lie. He said, my Tourette's, he said, if I try to lie, I'm just me. I said, no, I'm lying to you. And that's so, yeah, it's going to be interesting watching their show. Here's a little twist that I thought was fun from the first episode, which was what we saw last night. They all show up one at a time. They go into the Big Brother house, and they leave their luggage behind, so it'll get carried in at pouring down rain. I didn't realize it rained so much in Australia. Maybe it doesn't, but it rained last night, pouring down rain. They're outdoors. It's not an indoor studio. They're in an outdoor area, and they walk then into the house itself, talk to the host, who's a new host. But they left their luggage to have the security people carry it in. Well, the security people didn't carry it in. Instead, they took all of their luggage and they've put it all in a downstairs basement, bargain basement clearance sale type place, which they haven't had access to yet. So apparently at some point, that's one of the twists, is they have no clothes except for what they wore into the house. And at some point, they're going to go down there and have to spend money to buy theirs or other people's clothing. How cool would that be? How funny would that be? So right now, no one has any clothes. And some of the ladies in this house, they came in dressed to the nines, high heels, very tight skirts and things like that, and really not wearing clothing that's necessarily comfortable for a 24-hour day, for sleeping in a bed, things like that. 2 or 3 of the guys immediately said, oh, hey, you can have my clothes. I'll strip down. So they all stripped down to their underwear. They gave the girls shirts, t-shirts to wear, and denim shorts to put on, things like that. So, yeah, they're having fun inside the Big Brother Australia house. So, yeah, it's kind of neat. It made me think, when I did Big Brother, it was funny because we were allowed to wear what we wanted for the most part. We had to, during sequester, before we went in the house, they came through and they looked through all of our clothing and they said, all right, this is good. This isn't good. This will be good. You've got a logo on it that's too big, but if you can either scrape it off or unthread it or whatever, let us see it once you get done. I was pretty good. I followed the rules when I picked my clothing out. A lot of people didn't. So a lot of people lost a lot of clothes. But anyway, they go through and they pull all the clothing that's not allowed and let you keep what is. But you also have to basically say, this is what I would like to wear on the first night when I go into the house. And if I recall, they said pick 2 or 3 things that you'd like to wear, Cliff, and we'll tell you. So I picked a few things. They took pictures of it, and then like a day or so later, they came back and said, "Yeah, Cliff, we think you wearing your blue shirt and blue jeans will be great." Okay, well that's fine. So it was a lot of effort that went into it. And of course, the ladies especially were very, very fancied up when they entered the house, which was fine. You know, your first exposure to the American public and all that. The problem was we didn't have live feeds during our seasons until like the second week, I think. So as soon as we went in, then for the next 2 or 3 days, they had us doing so many diary room sessions, but they wanted to talk to all of us as though we had just come into the house, right? You know, so that first 2 episodes, it's all like, I just walked in and I don't even remember their names, and oh my gosh. But because of that, it meant that they would tell us when we came into the diary room, please put on the clothing that you wore when you entered the house, which for me was, all right, well, I'll throw on my cowboy hat and my blue shirt, no big deal. But I remember Holly and Sis, every single one of the girls in our house, they would, oh my God, I got to do all my makeup and dig my hair that all fancy and put on my fancy outfit. And they would do all of that and have to go in. And they were so tired of having to get dressed up for those first few days. And so that was it. Now, when we went in the house, they told us, they said, you're going to be wearing your fancy clothes. Carry in that small Big Brother bag that you always see, the black bag that says Big Brother. Make sure you've got a day or 2 worth of clothing in there and bathroom stuff, contact lenses, whatever, because it may take a couple of days to get your luggage. So that's what we did. Over in Australia, they didn't carry anything in. All they had was what they were wearing on their backs. Kind of reminds me of Survivor some seasons. Remember the season the girl wore the Boy Scout uniform, and then that's all she had for the whole season? So yeah, it was a fun first episode to watch. So I'm caught up in it. We'll see how they do it. I don't remember, or I don't know in Australia exactly how the voting's going to work. If it's the public that's going to choose who goes home every week, or it's going to be the people inside the house. Not really sure. All right, Kent is saying, do you need a VPN? If you're watching on TikTok for the next day or 2, you don't. But if you want to watch otherwise, you either need a VPN or you need, there's some players that'll let you get around it. There's one, Streamio, which I've looked into, and a few others where you can go in and pull in channels from all over the world. And there may be some things that you can do like that. I think YouTube may have clips as well. Not really certain just yet, but yeah, you probably need a VPN, but also not all VPNs work, as I discovered. Some of them, they still block it, say, oh, it looks like you're on a VPN. You can't do that while watching live feeds. So I don't have a perfect answer for you yet. I need to do some Google and Grok checking and things. And how can I watch it from the United States? So if y'all find out, send me a DM and we'll talk about it next week as well. I don't even know how long the season's going to last, but it looks like it's going to be fun. All right. Karen Loveland is saying, and we'll talk about some more in a second. Karen Loveland is saying, got caught up in Survivor, an amazing race today. Don't like Sage on Survivor. All right. We'll talk about, and then let's see. Ed saying, I'm Team Sage. Ma saying, don't like Savannah when she tried to take the keys from MC. I'm just like, stop. All right. Ma, I'm glad you brought that up. I get what she was trying to do. If she grabbed the keys, I suppose that's good, because then she has the keys that get the immunity idol and all, and that's all good. But the fact that she tried for the keys and didn't get it, if I'm MC, I'm like, obviously you're going to try to take it from me. It would break a lot of trust between me and her if she did that. While it was kind of rightfully my keys, I would think. I found the beware advantage or whatever and all. So yeah, I thought that was kind of cutthroat, but I can't say I blame her. But if you're going to do it, you better make sure you can actually get it. So for those of you who don't know, MC had found a chest or something. I don't remember exactly how it worked. I think she had to wait until they went to tribal council for the first time, and then she followed a map to try to find some keys. She wasn't sure she can find them. Savannah was with her, and they're looking everywhere. and suddenly suddenly MC sees this whole ring of keys on the ground. And just as she starts to reach for him, Savannah's like diving, like it's the last banana, and you haven't eaten for a couple of months or something. But MC grabbed him right before Savannah did. So yeah, that's kind of the background of what happened. Uh, I'm not going to say I dislike anyone yet. I do think some people are playing hard. Some people have rubbed me a little bit the wrong way. Savannah maybe a little bit, but I give her some credit. See how she does going forward. I kind of like Sage. I'm okay with Sage. I'm a huge Team Christina fan. I've met her. She's incredible. The smile on Christina's face. I'm cheering for Christina all the way. I don't know that she'll make it all the way. She wouldn't tell me, and I wasn't going to put her in a tough position by asking. So I have no clue. But I was a little bit worried about her last week. She looked like she was running out of steam a little bit during the challenge, but definitely Team Christina. I've heard a lot of negativity this season about people who just haven't really liked this season of Survivor, that it's too straightforward, there's not enough surprises and all that. Maybe, but I kind of like the cast. I kind of like Riz. He's very interesting. I like Steven. He's interesting as well. For those of you who haven't caught up, spoiler alert, because I'm getting ready. Is it really spoiler? It's already premiered on CBS, but they did lose last week, Nate. I kind of like Nate. Now, I didn't think he was going to go far. I'm in some ways surprised he went as far as he did, but I thought it was interesting. Him being a little bit older than some of the other house guests. I'm always going to, or house guests, some of the other castaways. I always going to cheer for him a little bit. But Nate went away. They're getting ready to come together again, right? They've got to. I can't imagine that they wouldn't. But no, they got a interesting cast of characters this season. I'm still trying to find, and some of you probably already know who the two from this season are that are going to make it on to season 50. I'm avoiding spoilers, so please don't post it over in the comments in case anyone else is trying to avoid it as well. Who that could be, but yeah, there's a couple of people right now that I'm curious to see who makes it to the end and how some of this strategy and everything works. So I'm not as upset with Survivor as some folks seem to be. I'm okay with it. It's got to be hot out there when even Jeff Probst is getting all sweaty and having issues, right? Ma is saying Jeremy from season 31 said the winner of Australia versus the world's win counted as a half win. What do you think about that? I really, really liked Survivor versus the World, or Australia versus the World. That Survivor competition. I count that as a full blown. Yeah, I don't know. Does it really matter at the end? That actually is a good point. And Jeremy, yeah, all right. I guess you can count it a little less than a U.S. version just because you don't get as much exposure as a result. But Survivor Australia was badass. The one not complaint. The one thing I'm a little tired of with Survivor that we're watching on CBS is it seems like every single episode, it's the same. All right, you're going to have to run under a net or through some dirt. Then you're going to have to walk some balance beams. Then you're going to have to throw something. And then you're going to solve a puzzle at the end. It just seems like there's a very formulaic process to the challenges. Not as much variety as maybe we once upon a time saw. But Survivor Australia didn't do that though. They had some cutthroat. They had some where you were having to stand on tiny little blocks, and some of them just pure endurance. You're gonna stand up here on this X, and you're just gonna be up here until the last person falls. We're not doing anything fancy. There's no rolling balls, or you're just standing up here until you can't stand here any longer. So a little bit they're old school. Some of the ways that Survivor Australia works. So yeah, but if Jeremy wants to say that's a half a point, half a point, whatever. I enjoyed it. I've very much enjoyed it. I've told y'all before, and I'll say it again real quick. If there was a reality TV channel that showed nothing but reality TV shows from all over the world with some subtitles for those of us who don't speak some of the other languages, that would be so cool. I had a lot of fun this weekend because, and this is kind of how I discovered Survivor Australia, with the football games, YouTube TV and ESPN having their big battles, I was having to do some things to try to get access so I could watch my Aggies play football. And in the process of doing that, I found a couple of sites that have, I don't know, 5,000 TV channels from all over the world and every show that's ever been on TV, torrenting out there and things like that. And I had so much fun looking at how many countries have done Big Brother out there. They had Pinoy Big Brother, which I think is the Philippines. They had Teen Big Brother, also I think from the Philippines, if I recall. But they had Bosnia and Poland and Norway, and Brazil is huge with Big Brother. So many countries have done it, and it would be so much fun to watch some of the other. Africa has one where they take people from a lot of the different countries in Africa into just a single house that represents the whole continent. Israel's had some. Just a lot of folks have done it. That would be so cool to do. But anyway, so yeah, because of that, I kind of went down a wormhole. Sharon looks up. I watch my Aggies play. Suddenly it's 10:30, 11 o'clock Saturday night, and I'm watching music videos from Azerbaijan or Baku, or found a Moscow channel, and I'm watching some pop music in Russian because why not? Yeah, I had fun. I stayed up watching international TV way too long on Saturday night. All right, let's see what else we've got here. Karen Loveland is saying, want Tucker and his brother to win Amazing Race. They're playing pretty good. And Ma saying, like them too, but getting bored of seeing them win every single time. Only had Jag and Jas and Tucker and Eric win in, except the one that they gave to Natalie and Stephanie. Yeah, I feel like I don't know. I was going to say, I feel like you've got some people that are dominating this competition, but really, I don't know what you do about that, because you've had some legs where they all had to basically meet up, take the same plane, and yet they somehow still get advanced the way they do. I did notice last week they had to do the skydiving, which, by the way, oh my gosh, if I'd been on that show with my son Daniel, because that's one of the things that I'm not allowed to skydive. That's one of Sharon's rules, because I don't know, she likes me alive more than the alternative, so I'm not allowed to. But if I'd gone on the show, I wouldn't have a choice, right? Now the reality is, if it'd been Daniel and I probably would have let him do it, just because I think he would have enjoyed it as well. So I would have been down on the ground saying, "Oh, I wish I was up there," and all that. But now they had to do that. But I did notice they all took these flights that got in, two different flights that got in at different times, as I recall. But then they just had to hang out and camp out forever. It seems like even though they got in at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, no one did anything until the next day. And I thought, well, that's kind of unusual. They had to wait that long. But then I started thinking, skydiving, I bet there's a whole lot of lessons on skydiving that we did not even watch. I bet they went through half a day of, this is how you land, this is what you do, this is what you don't do. Probably the most important thing in skydiving, right? I would expect there's a lot that didn't make it to the edit room or make it to the TV screen. So as a result, they all had to just hang around, have a little downtime, get back up to speed. You mentioned Stephanie and her sister. Another spoiler alert, if y'all haven't watched it yet, plug your ears for a second. They went home, which, yeah, everyone has to go home except for the couple that make it to the very end. But it's got to be rough that they went home after basically not fighting hard enough. They all get to a ticket kiosk. They got there before, was it Joseph and his brother, I think, or was it Jag and Jas? I think it was Joseph and his brother. They got there before Joseph and his brother, but they didn't realize that there weren't enough tickets for all of them to make the first flight. And so they didn't make sure they stayed at the front of the line. And next thing you know, Joseph and his brother are getting their tickets before Stephanie and her sister. And as a result, they had a flight that was quite a bit later in time to get into Croatia. I can't remember where their final target was, which, if they had to hang around forever, you think, well, that's not that big a deal. But it meant that they were the last ones that actually got to skydive. You had to pull tabs and go in order and all that. And it hurt them. It destroyed their game at the end. At the very end, they were the last ones, in part because of that. So it's got to be hard when you go home and you know that if you just fought a little harder at one point in the leg, you could have you could have maybe stuck around a little bit longer. I love that episode of Amazing Race. I got to say, if I had gone on the show, there's a part of me that would have been a little disappointed that they're strictly in Europe as opposed to going over into Asia or Russia or anywhere. They're only in Europe this year, but it's cool. They got to do the skydiving, which I would have loved. making the bricks with the manure and the hay. They all hated. I don't know. I feel like a kid playing in the mud doing something like that. I'd like to think I'd do well, but I'm also an engineer and I'd probably be so picky on my bricks. I'd probably spend way too much time, more than I needed to make sure they were perfect, and would driven my son crazy in the process. But I kind of like that leg. It was kind of fun. I'm looking forward to talking to some of them once the season's wrapped up and they're a little more open with their conversations and get a little more scoop on this. I need to go track Kat down. Of course, Kat's already through at this point, so she may not have a lot of insight into some of that. But yeah, I enjoyed that leg of the race. As far as Tucker and Jag, you're right. They just continue over and over again to get first and second. They definitely are the teams to beat right now. Even more so, remember Kyland and Taylor won that fast pass and they gave it to Jag and Jas. So not only are they doing very well, but they've got that in their back pocket if they ever get into a situation, which puts them in a great position. I bet Taylor and Kylan may be regretting that a little bit. I do like as well the Anna Izzy and her girlfriend Paige, not fans of Jag and Jas at all. That makes for a little bit of tension when they had to meet up, finally see each other and all that. Not a fan of putting a whole lot of people from a single season of Big Brother in the show at the same time. I wish I'd spread it out a little bit more. But having said that, it is interesting to see how they respond, basically not liking each other at all. So yeah, lots of fun reality TV going on right now. All right, let's see what else we got on here. Big Jake 88. Hey, Big Jake, watching Devil in Disguise. Oh, John Wayne Gacy on Peacock. All right, I gotta steel myself up for watching anything with old John Wayne Gacy. John Wayne Gacy, Ted Bundy. There's some sick and evil people in this world, and he's right up there at the top. I know more than I want to about him and dressing up like a clown and all that stuff. Yeah. All right, Big Jake. You gotta be in the right attitude to watch that. That's its own Halloween episode there. All right. Hunter Green is saying, "Are you watching The Road on CBS?" Oh yeah, of course I am, Hunter. Yeah. For those of you who don't know, The Road, it's like The Voice, American Idol, something like that, except it's a little more focused, not that it's not focused on the music, because it is, but it's focused more on live performance of the music. You can be the best singer, you can be the best songwriter, but it's really more about performing in a lot of different crowds and seeing how you interact with the crowds a little bit. And so they started, who's Blake Shelton and Keith Urban and Gretchen Wilson. I may be missing someone in there anyway, but it's by Taylor Sheridan, who did Yellowstone and all of that as well. They started off in the stockyards of Fort Worth. Then they went over to Dallas and did a performance. I think they're heading up maybe to Oklahoma or somewhere next. All country western. I mean, as you would expect with the people who are hosting it. But it's been fun because you have one place you got a rowdy crowd, another place you got maybe a little calmer crowd, and so they have to figure out how to interact with the crowds. You may go first, so you got to get people pumped up. You may go last when they're like, "Oh my God, we've already heard all these things. We're just waiting for Keith Urban to show up." But yeah, no, Hunter, I'm definitely watching The Road, and they've got some good folks. I like some of the singers they've had on there. They mentioned at one point, and some of y'all appreciate this. At one point, they said, "Oh, he's kind of sounds like John Prine a little bit." I didn't know that much about John Prine and his country music. I went back and listened to some of his. I kind of a little bit of a Jerry Jeff Walker theme to it. Now, anyway, way too much of that, going down a wormhole on that for a lot of y'all. But yeah, I'm definitely watching The Road. I'm still watching Special Forces over in Fox. It's always something on TV. All right, let's see what else we've got. I'll answer some questions and we'll talk later. Blue Sugi is saying, "My friend Debbie is a contestant on Squid Games. I'm ready for the next Squid Games. I still am behind. I think Angie, I don't think you're out here, but you'll probably watch a review. I've still not seen Traders yet, and now there's the next one that's going to be starting January 9th or something. Blue Sea is that Traders US premieres January 8th, 2026. Yeah, that, and there's another one I think the UK version that I'm still behind on. And now, while I was looking for Big Brother Australia, I realized that there's all kinds of Australia traders as well. So, yeah, I know. I bring on the holidays so I get a little downtime and I can catch up on some of these shows. Meanwhile, we watch so much stuff. I've been watching The Paper, which is a sequel to The Office. I don't know where it's going to go yet, but I've seen the first few episodes. Kind of funny, but very dry, sarcastic humor in a lot of ways. It's got Oscar from the original that's in there. We watched a show on Netflix called The Billionaire's Bunker, which I thought was a reality TV show until I realized it's actually a kind of a sci-fi, scary kind of thing. A bunch of people who have more money than they ever could possibly spend buy into this big, fancy bunker that's been designed so if the world ever goes to war, they've got a safe place to go. Well, as would be expected, the world goes to war, or does it? I don't want to throw anything out there that could be considered a spoiler, but they all end up in the bunker trying to survive, and creepy, mysterious things afoot going on. I think it's originally from Brazil and in Portuguese, but it's all dubbed, so we've been watching that as well. So yeah, lots of stuff going on. All right, let's see. Blue Sugi is saying my friend Debbie's in contestant Squid Games. All right, yeah, and then Cindy McCormick is saying wish I'd let them use their phones for directions. I was talking to Alex and Kat about that when I saw. Yep, talking to Alex and Kat about that a little bit, and Alex was saying, the hard part was you can ask other people for their phones. Someone on the side of the road, hey, can we borrow your phone? He said, but it's all in French. They were in Paris at the time. He said, so we get the phone and now it's saying, give them all the directions in French. He said, so it didn't always help as much as we had thought it would. So yeah, if they had their phones, I don't know. These smartphones do too much for you. You could translate everything. You could get directions. You could ask, you could enter a few clues and you'd know exactly where you needed to go. So I'm okay with them out not having the phone. I think it's funny. Well, a couple of things. I think it's funny that now when you drive yourself, they call it self-driving. Every time I hear self-drive, I think of some kind of automatic, one of the new Tesla cars or something. You just kick back and let it take you there. No, they're just meaning you can't take a taxi. You can't have anyone. You've got to drive your own vehicle. And that's what I do think is the hardest part. It's just some of the movements around the city and trying to figure out those exits and things like that. All right, let's see. Ma is saying, what do they do with the clothes on Big Brother Australia? I hope they don't throw them out. No, they're not throwing them out, Ma. They're opening up their own version of a Goodwill store in the basement, apparently. And you have to come in and somehow, I'm assuming that maybe you win prizes in some kind of competition, and the money you win can then be used to buy your clothes back. And you may have to decide what's really important versus what's not so important in your wardrobe. And all I could think is if I was in there, what would be fun is to go figure out who really, I really want to get my denim jacket back. And I'd go in there and I'd buy it first. And I'd probably get booted as a result. So maybe I wouldn't do that, but I was laughing back. And then I thought, what if you went in there and some of your other housemates, their clothes were all hanging up on the blue chip rack. Oh, $30 each, $30 each. And then they say, oh, Cliff, here's your clothing. And mine's all hanging in the clearance section. It's like 25 cents for a shirt and, a nickel for a pair of socks or something. And they're like, yeah, no one wants your stuff, Cliff. So it's bargain basement, true bargain basement. Baby. Global TV, not US, but Global, who was a Canadian broadcaster, Big Brother 21. They had a contest where they voted for the best dressed and the worst dressed house guest of Big Brother 21. And unfortunately, I won for being the worst dressed male, and Nicole won for being the worst dressed female. So yeah, another common bond that we've got. Now, I don't know how they voted for me to be last, considering someone like Nick from my season never even wore clothes. He constantly was topless in that house. Now, he had a reason for it. He said he figured as long as he didn't wear a shirt when he went to the diary room, he didn't have to worry about trying to put on the same shirt he wore last time he talked or anything. I guess. I don't know. He never wore clothes in the house. So how do I lose to someone who was basically halfway naked? I like the clothes I wear. What can I say? They just didn't appreciate dad clothing, right? I wasn't wearing enough of the fancy name brand Rodeo Drive kind of clothing. Yeah, I don't think I've got any of that kind of clothing that I throw on. All right, let's see. Sharon's laughing. Uh, what else do we have on here? Bear with me. Ed saying the hat alone should have given you the win. Maybe it was the hat that did. Yeah, I had my own fashion forward conscious statement, right? Why? I had my cowboy hat. On the last day of Pride Month, I wore a rainbow colored hat. I tried to I tried to fit in. I tried to wear clothing that made me look good. And I think maybe they just didn't like all my Aggie gear. I tried every live episode. Well, not every episode, a lot of live episodes. When it was some kind of athletic competition, I would wear my one specific Texas A&M shirt that I thought was my lucky shirt, and maybe they didn't like that. They got a little too tired of not enough variety in my clothing. Whatever. Uh, I wasn't in there competing for best dressed. It wasn't any. Yeah. I wasn't Project Runway material. I was just trying to win my way to the end. Or sorry, man. Amanda LMNOP says, I saw Fear Factor is coming back. Will you be watching? Oh yeah, I definitely watch. I love to see other people in horrific situations and having the disgusting food and do incredibly scary things that would just turn your hair gray as soon as you saw it. So yeah, absolutely, I'll be watching. I love those kind of shows. That scare tactics and things like that. All of it. Now, the other question: would I go on it? That would be a little bit tougher. I'm very adventurous when it comes to food. I send me overseas, and I would prefer to eat what the locals eat as opposed to eating a hamburger or something like that. I'm very much willing to try whatever other people are trying, including crickets or snake or whatever. Yeah. So there's a part of me says yes. There's also another part of me that says if you give me a big old block of cheese that has a bunch of worms crawling through it, I may just have to think twice about whether I actually take a bite of that food because I have a certain amount of self-preservation as well. So, yeah, would I go on it? Yeah, I would, but there's I don't like heights. So put me up on one that involves a lot of heights, I'd be a little bit nervous. Being underwater, being in tight spaces, things like that. I used to do cave exploration, so that doesn't bother me at all. But being up high, a little bit. So one of the reasons that one of these days I'm a skydive is because it's facing my fear of heights in the worst possible way, right? Yeah, I'd do it if so. But yes, I definitely be watching it. All right. Sharon says hello. Sharon is saying hi to all of y'all. All right. Karen Loveland saying, have you ever watched a TV show where people win money in the lottery and scratch off and they shop and for houses and they win $1 million on a scratch off? I think it was at lottery houses or something. I feel like I know what you're talking about. I'm not sure I've watched a lot of it because all I do is just get jealous and envious. It's like, why couldn't it be me? How you get the Powerball, and yeah, I know the odds are like 1 in 1 billion or whatever. And typically, if I buy a ticket, I don't even match one number. I'm lucky if I match just one. But so yeah, fate hasn't been kind to me in that direction. But can you imagine how your life changes from a scratch off or lottery ticket to get that kind of crazy money? Oh my gosh, it would. What would I do if I suddenly won 600, $700 million? Well, maybe I'd go buy some of that Rodeo Drive clothing and I'd go Globe TV and say, check me out now, Buster. I'd have a rhinestone cowboy hat. I'd be the flashiest. I would make Beyonce look like she didn't spend a nickel on her clothing because I'd be so flashy with all the stuff I'd spend on my cowboy gear. But how much fun would I have just screwing around with reality TVs and all that? I'd be the one flying over Survivor in a stunt plane and yelling at dropping bags of rice or something, or I don't know, forget bags of rice, dropping truffles and things like that, tins of caviar. Oh, you can't eat a coconut, but you can have a couple of $1,000 worth of caviar, my friend. I'd be flying over the backyard of the Big Brother house and dropping glitter, and I don't know. I'd just be acting silly just because when you have that kind of money, you can. So yeah, uh, we all like to dream, right? So yeah, it'd be fun. All right, that's it. Lottery Dream Homes on HGTV is Blue Sugar saying. All right, I knew it's something like that. It's kind of like me getting on Big Brother. I mean, there's a part of me that says, why even buy a ticket? You know you're not going to win, and yet someone has to win. Why go try it for Big Brother? Yeah, there's 20,000 people try it. I'm not going to get in there. Someone has to get in, right? And so, did I use up all my luck before I even played the lottery? And would I rather have won a lottery ticket for $600 million instead of going on Big Brother? Yeah, probably so. But on the other hand, going on Big Brother is an experience that you can't buy. I'd like to think that somewhere out there, there is someone who won a lottery and got a check for $600 million, and is sitting there watching Big Brother saying, yeah, this is a lot of money. I love driving my Bentley around and living in a 47 bedroom mansion and all that. But by golly, couldn't I just get on to Big Brother? How cool would that be? I'd like to think someone out there is thinking that. And if they are, give me a call. I'll come hang with you for a couple of weeks and swim in your swimming pool and take advantage of your butlers and eat your caviar. And I'll tell you what, it's all about being in the Big Brother house. Having only one bathroom to share amongst 16 people, as opposed to you, my multi-billionaire friend, who has 50 bathrooms to be shared between 2 or 3 people. Wouldn't that be something? Caviar dreams, lifestyles of the rich and famous. I forgot what he says. I'm blah, 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 and caviar dreams. All right, wow, 746. All right, Big Sugi said, would Cliff get his family on an expensive dog? Yeah, no, I wouldn't get an expensive. I'd get here's what I'd do. I'd go down to the local animal shelter and I'd get a few dogs. Some of the ones that look like the most sad and the most depressed dogs. And those are the ones I'd take back with me. And then all the rest of the dogs, we'd go have a big party with them as well. I don't know what I'd do. I'd buy a house for me, and then I'd buy another house next door just for the dogs. We converted over to the world's fanciest kennel. We could do that. I'd take out the swimming pool in the backyard, just make it a huge water park for the dogs. Yeah, I got a soft spot in my heart for the animals, but I'm kind of one of the fans of the ones that the last few dogs we had, we all picked up from the local animal shelters. They were nothing but mutts, and they were the best mutts that we ever did have. So anyway, what else we're going to talk about? We talked a little bit about Big Brother, our Big Brother Australia. They've got a cool backyard. All right, here, I got something for y'all real quick. We got a little time left. Our Ed locked in saying champagne wishes and caviar dreams. There you go. I knew it was something like that. I've had caviar before. I had caviar on a plane in Azerbaijan, no, in Kazakhstan, flying from somewhere to Almaty, Kazakhstan, or Tusk to Almaty, I think. Anyway, flying out in the middle of nowhere. I'm flying on like a little Tupov 26, if I recall. It's just an old Soviet Aeroflot plane that was probably about 60 years old when I flew it. It held about 20 people on a good day. On the day I flew it, it held about half that because several of the seats were broken. They flopped over backwards. Several of the seats didn't have seats, or the seat belts were broken. So only about half the seats actually worked. The floor apparently had rotted through at one point, and they replaced it with just a big piece of plywood. You saw just big pieces of plywood nailed over the bad holes on it. The windows didn't have the little sliding panels to close the windows. They had curtains, but you couldn't touch the curtains because they were so old that if you touched them, they would just decompose, turn into dust in your fingers, as I discovered when I tried to pull one of the curtains aside and immediately coughing because there's dust everywhere from these things. The flight attendant was a big old burly Russian guy with a beard, and as soon as you started to walk the plane, he started yelling at everyone. He's in Russian, so I don't know what he's yelling, but something along the lines of, you better get your tail on the plane right now or you're not going to be flying with us. Thank you for flying Soviet Airlines. So that kind of plane where I'm just wondering, how in the world is this thing still flying? And I hope my will is up to date. We get on the plane, and the first thing this big old burly Russian flight attendant does is he goes up and down the aisles giving us our little snack as we flew to Almaty. The snack consisted, I want to say, of a cracker and like a little piece of fish of some sort and caviar and a whole lot of like a big old bowl of caviar. And it's like, all right, well, there's a part of me wishes maybe you didn't spend as much on the caviar and spend a little bit more on replacing the duct tape on the wings that I'm seeing out here that are flapping in the breeze and all of that. But yeah, so that was probably my first experience ever eating caviar. So yeah, win the lottery and it'll be my second experience, I do believe. We were talking about Big Brother Australia. They brought it back. It's actually in a theme park, which is kind of cool, where they used to do it. And so we were watching last night the live feeds a little bit. And while they're talking, you hear people outside in the theme park yelling, not at the people in the house, but just yelling at the ride, give me a popcorn and thing. It's just in the middle of an amusement park that they've got this house set up. And that's so the whole time they're in the house, I guess they're hearing the roller coasters going up and down and people screaming and the carousel music and all that, which is very strange. So that'll be kind of interesting to see how that goes. I can't picture. I worked at Six Flags for 4 years when I was a teenager, and I can't imagine having the Big Brother house right in the middle of where I was working. That would be kind of cool. I had a blast working at Six Flags. It was so much fun. I grew up in Arlington, and Six Flags Over Texas is there. And for those of you who don't know it, and you probably will never believe it, I was an incredibly shy kid. I mean, incredibly shy kid growing up. The kind that sat in the back of the room was scared to raise his hand. That kind of shy. But when I started working at Six Flags, I worked in a gift shop selling maps and T-shirts and things like that. And I had to put myself out there. I had to not be shy because of the position I had. And I took it seriously. So that's when I started speaking up more and developing a little bit of sarcastic humor and things like that. So I really, Six Flags paid off in a lot of ways for me doing that. I was telling Sharon, I started reminiscing about Six Flags earlier when we were seeing Big Brother Australia. I always worked the night shift because normally during the day, especially when I was in college or in high school, I was doing like going to community college taking classes. So I would work at Six Flags at night from 5 o'clock to either 11 o'clock or midnight, depending on when the park closed down. And we would take breaks. And the theme park had a canteen, had a restaurant just for the employees and had TVs up and everything. I would always ask for my break at 9 o'clock on Wednesday nights. And everyone said, well, yeah, no one wants to eat that late, Cliff. Sure, you can have your break then. No problem at all. So I always got it. But I always took my breaks at 9 o'clock because that was when the TV was showing Dynasty on the TV screens. Remember, Dallas, Dynasty, Knots Landing, Flamingo Crest, right? All the old drama soap operas at night. Well, Dynasty was mine. That I watched. Joan Collins was on that, I think, and I would watch Dynasty, and everyone always made fun of me. Cliff, why are you watching Dynasty? Why are you keeping up with that show? The guys would do that. What they didn't realize is, you know who else was watching Dynasty at 9 o'clock on Wednesday night in the restaurant at Six Flags Over Texas? About 30 or 40 women. All of the female employees were watching it as well. So I quickly learned that, hey, that's not a bad thing at all. So I would watch it with them. We'd talk about it during the thing. But then the whole rest of the week, when I was working in some store or I had to go take over for someone else in another store, I would go in there, and there are always a few girls in there who also were big Dynasty fans. We immediately had things to talk about. And so there was a method to my madness. I would always watch Dynasty at 9 o'clock Wednesday nights, and I'd always eat at 7 o'clock on Sunday nights because that's when Dr. Demento was on, and he was an old show, used to play all the, think of Weird Al Yankovic's kind of weird parody songs and things like that. And I'd always listen to that and thought that was really funny at the time. So there you have it. That's some. I'll give y'all more Six Flags stories at some point in the future because I had some crazy adventures out there. But yeah, maybe think about it when I was watching Big Brother Australia. All right, 754, pretty quick. All right, let's see. Kent 427 saying fish. There's a Dr. Benso song called Fish Heads, Roly Poly, Fish Heads. Anyway, different topic. Kent saying fish eggs. Don't think I could eat that. I thought it as well, but it doesn't taste like fish eggs. So you just don't think it. It's very salty. So you kind of want to eat it with crackers or something else. But yeah, it actually was very good. And I've only had it once, so maybe there's bad caviar out there, and I wouldn't know. But the caviar I had that one time was good, or I just didn't have enough of a palate to know the difference between good and bad. I enjoyed it. And hey, take chances out there. It's a fun one. Lori Kelly 4805 is saying, and you wonder why Sharon doesn't want you to skydive. Yeah, Sharon knows that I'll stare danger in the face and dare them to do something about it. I would have. It'd be fun. Someday. I'll talk her into it someday. C. Gabarino saying, would love to see your family on Family Feud. I don't know if we'd win, but we'd come up with some interesting answers. I'd probably be one of those up at the front, give some answer, and Steve Harvey would be slapping me saying, what are you even saying that? Cliff, come on. Why would you say that, Cliff? I don't know. It just came to my head, Steve. Yeah, my family we'd have fun on Family Feud. We would enjoy it. What's funny is when I told my family, I told Sharon when I made it on Big Brothers, she knew as soon as they contacted me because she heard the phone call and all that. So she knew from the very start that I was in the running to be on Big Brother. I didn't tell my kids until I'd made like the top 20, until it started looking like there was a good chance I was going to get on the show, because I didn't want to put them in a position where they couldn't tell people they were close to, boyfriends, girlfriends, things like that. So I told them a little bit later, and their jaws dropped. They were amazingly. They thought we were moving to Australia. What segue? Because at one point I'd gotten a job offer to go to Australia. Never been there, but that's what they thought. And I said, no, not better than that. Going on Big Brother. When I told the rest of my family, I said, chance I may be going on a TV show here before too long. And one of my nephews immediately said, are we doing Family Feud? One said Family Feud. The other one said, are you going on Worst Cooks in America? Well, thank you. I appreciate the Family Feud one a lot more than I do Worst Cooks in America. But yeah, that was their thinking. And yeah, we would have had fun with that. I would have been the one saying, yeah, good. No, not so good an answer. Yeah, that was a really dumb answer. And Steve would have been doing this to me the whole time. So Gail Warnings is saying 99 to beat. We haven't even talked about that. It's the other reality show. I love watching that, just doing silly little tasks. It reminds me of old Howie Mandel's Minute to Win It from a few years back. For those of you who aren't caught up and want to know, Tommy Bracco from my season of Big Brother is still in the running. I want to say they're down to 30-something people, and he is still there to win. I don't know how much money they win. I don't know, but a lot of money. So yeah, he's still maintaining and doing well. They had a great competition last week. Nothing so simple, just a bunch of spotlights moving all around. Well, it looked like a concert, like EDM concerts, a bunch of spotlights moving around. Well, then they would stop. When they stopped, everyone had to run and step on a spotlight. Well, there's one less spotlight than there are people. The rule of this thing is don't finish last. Every round, one person finishes last and is evicted, goes home. So in this one, it was like musical chairs. There was one less spotlight than there were people, and whoever didn't find a spotlight to stand on was eliminated. Then they do it again, and so it was fun. So it's like musical chairs, except unlike musical chairs, where you know where the chair is, you're eyeing that thing. You don't know where the spotlights are until the music goes off, and now you're rushing around trying to find one. Very cool. So yeah, Marilyn Southern saying what channel? It's on Fox. I think 99 to beat and the Special Forces, and I believe Hell's Kitchen. I think they're all on. Maybe it's Wednesday night, or it could be Thursday night. I don't know. They're all on Fox. So Fox has a little whole little section on reality shows that I've been into. I've got Hell's Kitchen recorded. Just got behind on it. It always depresses me when I see how great some of these cooks are. And it depresses me when I see Gordon Ramsay yelling. And all I can think is, good thing I'm not there, because Gordon Ramsay would be yelling at me. Don't think he would appreciate my pancakes or bologna and cheese sandwiches, which are the height of my cooking skills. He'd love Sharon. Me, not so much. All right, let's see. 7:59. I guess we'll call it here pretty quick. Let's see. We've got Kent 427 saying, enjoy the weakest link. I've been watching The Weakest Link. Yeah, thank you, Kent, for that. Been watching The Weakest Link. A lot of celebrities. They had they had all people from Glee, and they had NFL players. The NFL players are hilarious because they didn't take it too seriously. So I like The Weakest Link. I like the 1% Club as well. which I think is also on Fox. I have so many shows to watch. All right, guys, I'm going to shut it down. It is 8 o'clock. Y'all have a fantastic week. It is getting colder. Some of y'all are even getting snow. So get a fire going. Enjoy the next couple of weeks before we get to Thanksgiving and all that. It's only like 54 days until the end of the year, which is incredible. And then it's 2026. That's amazing. Y'all have a great week. I will be back next Monday. Again, if you get a chance, go out to TikTok and check out the live feeds for Big Brother Australia. Just let me know what y'all think about it. And for those of you who can figure out how to watch the show live and all that, let me know as well, because I'm not sure I'm quite there yet. But anyway, y'all have a great week. I will see y'all next Monday. Until then, first of all, if you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to my channel, turning on notifications, hitting the old thumbs up. And basically, y'all just have a great week. SKD143, love my wife, love my family. Love you guys as well. Have a great one. I'll catch my breath, and I'll see y'all next Monday. Send me DMs between now and then. Let me know what y'all want to talk about next week. All right, guys, with that, I'll give you the tip of the hat and say adieu, good night.